and I'm having digestive issues. And they were kind of like writing it off on stress because she felt like maybe I was having depression issues and anxiety issues. I kept telling them like something's really wrong here. I started getting post nasal nosebleeds, and I've had the surgeries done to where I shouldn't have nosebleeds because I grew up playing sports, so I really shouldn't be having any kind of nosebleeds. So it was a little bit of concern then. So I scheduled an appointment for my primary care doctor back here. Went and they ran some tests and said that my blood pressure was high. We tried a whole bunch of different medications to get my blood pressure down, finally found one. I tried everything that the doctors kept telling me to do, and every time a new symptom came along, like the ribbony poop or the blood in the stool, it was just getting written off. Oh, well, you're on this medication, and then you tried this one, so it resets your gut, and that's why you're having gut issues. And I just couldn't get them to listen. I would go to the emergency room. I couldn't get the emergency room to listen to me. I really felt alone. Um, I was scared for my life because I knew something, especially towards the actual point of getting diagnosed. I knew something was horribly going wrong with me. The fatigue was just outrageous, and that's not just getting old, you know? A lot of things you want to try to mentally write off is like, maybe it is, maybe they're right, you know, maybe it's this. And so I pretty much tried every SSRI known to man, and none of them were curing my depression or whatever, or anxiety. They only made my head 10 times worse. I was trying to get second opinions already at this point, but like I said, everybody was scheduling me out. Even when I'd go to the doctor or to the ER, and then they would give you a doctor to go to from there, it was still like 6 months out. I was still trying to go to work as much as I possibly could. I was just talking to the customer, and he was like, Dave, you know what I do for a living? I was like, no. He was like, I'm an oncologist. And I was like, cool. And he was like, you know, you lost a lot of weight. And I told him I lost like 70 pounds at that point. And he's like, yeah, you don't lose that from depression and anxiety. So you need to go get a second opinion. Scheduled the colonoscopy. He said that he couldn't get the camera past the tumor, because I had a 99 point whatever percent blockage, and that it had ruptured, and you know it was bleeding really bad and all this stuff. And he said I needed to get to the hospital basically right away. They said, you know, you need to get the surgery done, or you probably have like 2 months left. And they're like, it's a pretty big tumor. That's why you're throwing up all the time. This is why all these symptoms that you listed off, this is exactly why all of this has been happening. And so I was like, all right, let's get the surgery done. I was diagnosed with stage 3B originally. They said that they got clear margins and everything from the surgery. I got no evidence of disease after that surgery. I didn't allow myself to get too upset because I was also at the same time like relieved that I'm like, it is cancer, because I'd been told that I was too young for cancer. It's almost like a relief because now people can believe me again. Because I mean, I know that when people started seeing me fall apart and lose all that weight and start acting weird because I'm on these, medications, they started to believe the doctors like maybe something is wrong with him. I don't remember anything at all until waking up in the recovery room. And I woke up in the recovery room, and I remember we talked previously about potentially having to have an ileostomy. Everything's kind of just, hitting me. And it's just like, oh, wow. And I see the ileostomy bag on me, and I'm like, oh, man, how long is this going to be? Because we had talked previously about even if I get one, there's always a chance for a reversal. And over the last couple of years, we've tried every chemo that, is the protocol go to for colon cancer, and haven't had success with those. And we've gotten to the point where we've had to do trials and whatnot. The first one was supposed to be 6 rounds, and I think I did like 4 of them before they stopped them. That was the ones you have to take home the little blue bag with you, the pump. It makes you feel like less of a man, not being able to get up and play with your kids. I was stuck in this like survival mode feeling like for so long where like, all right, well, I only have so much room on my plate. I can't dump all this extra stuff on my plate. I can only handle so much for today. So and most of that stuff is typically around making it to tomorrow, and surviving. So a lot of the little emotional stuff you like lock away. You start to like let the walls down, and then everything starts to flood in. This stuff where like people say you're strong, you're just surviving. And then they did the reversal a couple months later. So I got a couple months off, after, technically they told me after the reversal surgery that, go live your life, go have fun. It was fine for the first couple of weeks because I had that initial wave of excitement where it was just like, I'm going to go live my life, bucket list items, here I come. And that's when I went into the gym and gained my body back because I was down to 123 pounds at that point. I had lost even more weight with the ileostomy because I couldn't hold anything. It's only your small intestine, so it just goes right through you. And so I started eating everything. I mean, healthy and unhealthy, but I really went really healthy after the first couple weeks. I ended up gaining, I think it was right at like 40 something pounds. It was technically, I guess, 5 months there before the scans came back showing that it had come back and spread aggressively. And then they, stage 4, multiple spots on my liver and multiple spots in my lower left lung. We tried different types of treatment again, stuff to go after the stuff in the lung, stuff to go after the liver. Nothing was really working. We weren't seeing any results from it, at least. I was able to find a surgeon there at the hospital. A surgeon had offered one for the liver and one for the lung, to take the spots off of the liver, and then just remove that lower third of my left lung. And they actually did it in the same procedure back to back. So I think it's like a 14, 15-hour surgery. It was pretty long. And it was very painful, waking up from that. I got told that there was no evidence of disease after that surgery, but the very next scans came back showing that I had a spot on my tailbone, and then there was, I think at that point, 2 spots that had popped up in the upper lobe of that lung. But yeah, I went right back into chemo. Nothing ended up working. I ended up talking to the radiation specialist about doing radiation on that lower tumor. And so we had to wait for the recovery and then went and did the radiation on the lower tumor, which that got me way sicker than any chemo did. So that I lived in my bathroom for 9 days or 9 nights, and it was getting really hard to walk. Sometimes I would be walking, my left foot would just go to sleep, and I would eat it. So that was the reason why they wanted to do the radiation quickly like that, just because my mobility was getting so hindered by that whatever was going on down there. And luckily, I had great success with that because I started noticing that as I was not as sick each day, and getting a little bit better, sleeping in the bathroom still, that I could actually like move around a little bit easier, and it wasn't so painful. And then slowly the pain went away. And now I'm walking, I walk decent. I mean, I still have issues long distances, but I'm able to walk to the fridge and to my front door at least. After that radiation, we went right back into chemo to try to get the spots out of my lungs, and that's why I went right back onto that trial, to try to attack those, and it was like an 80% success. So I was pretty excited. Like, those are really good numbers to hear. Like, you want to beat it. Like, we're this close. We're so close. We got all this other cancer beat, and now it's just these little spots, and it's like that's all we got left to do, and I'm in the clear. And they took me off of treatment, and then I had to wait 3 months for my next scans. So they said, we're gonna monitor you for the next 3 months. You're not gonna do any treatments until we can find maybe another trial, and it might not be available here. It might be at another hospital. You might have to go to another state. We don't know. So there's a lot of like stuff up in the air. Got scans again after my very last trial, and somehow my spots in my lungs went away. So my doctor said your scans are clear. I couldn't believe it. I was so shocked. Me and my youngest son drove back up here, picked up my oldest son, and we went to the mountains and hung out up there with my brother for a week, up there at his house, and just hanging out and just being alive again, celebrating. So now I'm at that point, 3 months later or 4 months later, almost, because the last scans we got pushed forward because the Signatera test came back positive, saying that there's circulating or fragments of circulating tumors in my blood. and then that's a high probability that it's coming back. They're talking about getting me back in for more treatment just to be, you know, just to prevent it, um, kill it while it's microscopic. The hardest part for me was hearing how many years I have left, with the, you know, percentage of, we're going to battle this and, probably 3 to 5 years max. And I didn't want to hear that. And since then, that's been taken back. But, the hearing, hearing those type of, or any of those type of talks, period, of you only got so much time left, it really just, I don't know, like everything just like, so many things go through your head, and then that's when it makes it mentally challenging. Um, because if you can master like the mental side of it, your body will like kind of follow through with everything. But when your mind is just so overstimulated with everything and you're thinking all these thoughts and like, oh, and I told the doctor at that point too, like stuff like this, like let's not talk about this anymore. Anything that I don't want to have to lie to my kids. And my ultimate goal is to beat this, and take me within an inch of my life if you have to, like, but I want my life. I want a life, and never gonna get my life back, but I want a life to live after this. Cancer has taught me so much about real life and what really matters. Spending time with my kids, being able to hug them, being able to go places with them, or just watch a movie, or just go outside and sit in the grass. Who cares? It's taught me a lot more about quality time and just slowing down. Not everything needs to be done right away. And just because I got 20 things on my list doesn't mean that I got to do 20 things today. You know, I'll get done what I can get done, and I'll do the best that I can today. And what's left, I'll deal with tomorrow. Making sure that the list of people that I care about, that I'm on that list too. Nobody else is ever gonna fight for you like you'll fight for you. And you got to keep pushing.